Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today the Baltimore Ravens beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 28-14. Yeah, great win for the Ravens in the wild card round, and they advance. We'll see who they play next weekend in the division round, and if the Broncos win tomorrow, which is very unlikely, the Texans will travel to Baltimore. Will be second year in a row Texans-Ravens-Baltimore matchup in the division round. I think it's very unlikely just because the fact is I don't think Denver's going into Buffalo and winning, but anything could happen. And but if the Texans win, if the Bills beat the Broncos, which is expected, the Bills will travel to face the Ravens, which I think is what everybody wants to see because it's the two MVPs, and then you actually get a really good matchup with the Texans and the Chiefs, which I think would be a great game. So that's what is most likely to happen in the AFC. But don't count out the Broncos. A lot of people count out the Texans. Rex Ryan said that it was a bye week for the Chargers, and then everybody else started saying that. So don't count out the Broncos. I think it's very unlikely that they win, but don't count them out. So, but 28-14 is the final score. The Ravens win. How about this? I'm gonna go over this for the Steelers real quick. I thought this was interesting. That in the second, or not in the second half, but in both wild card games today, both teams kind of pick up some momentum offensively. Two teams pick up some momentum offensively after a 99-yard drive. The Texans did it today. Started, they're down 6-0 and had a 99-yard drive. We're moving very well, and the Steelers did it too. The Steelers had a 98-yard drive, and were able to get some momentum offensively. And score again and have another 36-yard touchdown pass to George Pickens. Their offense was actually starting to move pretty well in the second half. The only problem was their defense was so bad in the first half of this football game, giving up 3 touchdowns. Those 2 touchdowns really didn't mean anything for them, and they couldn't score after that. But we have seen a couple teams get momentums after a very long 99-yard. Well, the Texans 99-yard drive, Steelers 98, but still it's not enough because the Ravens still win 20-14. Scoring summaries, it started off with Lamar Jackson 15-yard touchdown pass to Rashad Bateman to make it 7-0. Then Derrick Henry has an 8-yard touchdown run. It's 14-0. Lamar throws a 5-yard touchdown pass to Justice Hill. It's 21-0. Russell Wilson throws a 30-yard touchdown pass to Van Jefferson. It's 21-7. Derrick Henry then has a 44-yard touchdown run. It's 28-7. And Russell Wilson throws a 36-yard dime to George Pickens, 28-14. Game leaders, Russell Wilson, 20 for 29, 270 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Russell Wilson actually, looked great for the most part of this game. The only problem is his defense. And at the same time, yes, they only scored 14 points. I think that side of it was bad for sure. But not being able to, but at the same time, they couldn't rely on your run game. A couple penalties really hurt them as well, and then the defense. So it's not all on Russell Wilson. I think you have to look at the run game. You have to look at some of the penalties that the Steelers had, and then obviously the defense. But Lamar Jackson was great, 16 for 21, 175 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. More importantly, he was great on the rushing side of things. Najee Harris had 6 carries for 17 rushing yards, leading the Steelers in rushing yards. Derrick Henry, 26 carries, 186 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. He was phenomenal. Receiving yards, George Pickens, 5 receptions, 87 receiving yards, 1 touchdown. He was great. Especially after his last game. Isaiah Likely, 3 receptions for 53 receiving yards. He had some great catches in this game. Let's get to some other stuff. Lamar Jackson ran for 81 yards. I did say he was pretty good in that side of things. So he was really good. And Steven Sims had a carry for 15 yards. Instead of that, Jaylen Warren had 2 carries for 6 yards. Russell ran for 6 yards. Mark Andrews had 2 receptions for 27 receiving yards. There wasn't a lot of other receiving stats besides those two. No Zay Flowers in this game. Nelson Aguilar had 25 receiving yards. Rashad Bateman had 2 receptions for 24 receiving yards and a touchdown. Wallace had a 21-yard catch. Justice Hill had 4 receptions for 13 receiving yards. And Anthony Miller had 3 receptions for 12 receiving yards. Najee Harris did have 3 receptions for 41 receiving yards. Van Jefferson had 2 catches for 37 yards and a touchdown. And Mike Williams had a 37-yard catch. All right, moving on. Fumbles. Steven Sims did fumble, but it was recovered. He did recover it. Then defensive stats. Eldon Roberts was great for Pittsburgh, leading them with 14 tackles. Ardarius Washington was good for them with 7 tackles. They had 4 tackles for loss, 2 for Mamadi Mudubake, 1 for Adefe Uwe, 1 for Michael Pierce. Steelers only had 1 tackle for loss. So Alex Highsmith. One sack, and that was Alex Highsmith, and then they had 5 tackles for loss in this game. Then no interceptions. Let me know your thoughts on this game in the comments section. Steelers have a lot of decisions to make. Is it possibly time to get rid of, Mike Tomlin? I don't know. Obviously, I think if the whole Mike Tomlin thing happens, I think that it's going to be in a situation where you're not firing Mike Tomlin. No one would ever fire Mike Tomlin, but we do see times where, both sides agree to mutually part ways, and I think that's definitely possible happening. I don't know if it's the best thing for this Pittsburgh Steelers team, because I think if you're going to replace Mike Tomlin, it needs to be with someone who's experienced enough to come in and do a good job. You look at Mike Vrabel, it looks like he's negotiating a deal with New England. So, Bill Belichick would have been available, but he's in North Carolina. So, I don't know if there's enough experience. Do you want to bring in a Rex Ryan? I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know if you get rid of Mike Tomlin, especially you're in a tough division. You got Cincinnati, you got Baltimore in the division. I think you have, if you're going to get rid of a good coach, I think you have to get rid of, if you're going to get rid of him and let him go, then you have to get a great coach to replace a great coach. And the only way I think you let go of Mike Tomlin, let him move on, let him try to make a new beginning, and you make a new beginning, is if you can get a Ben Johnson or you can get a Mike Vrabel. I don't think the Ben Johnson's unlikely, but I think the Mike Vrabel's unlikely. And I think Mike Tomlin's been so great, and has helped the defense be so great. Mike Vrabel could do that as well. And I don't know if Mike Vrabel comes to Pittsburgh. Possibly he does, but yeah, let me know your thoughts on the Pitt. And as for the Ravens, I'm not going to say there's no one that could beat them in the playoffs right now, but I honestly don't know if there's anybody in the AFC that can beat them. As a Texans fan, I don't think we beat them. I know that the Broncos, God forbid, beat the Bills. They're not beating them. I think the Bills are probably the only team in the AFC right now that I think have a shot beating them. I don't think the Chiefs have a shot beating the Ravens. I know it's in the playoffs, it's been a different story, but I think this Ravens team is way different than any Chiefs that I don't think this Ravens team is the same team that that the Chiefs have faced in the playoffs before. I think the only team in the AFC that I think right now is capable of beating the Ravens are the Bills, and I don't know many teams in the NFC that can. I think the Lions probably could. I think the Eagles probably could. I don't think the Vikings would. I don't think there's a lot of teams in the league that can go in there and beat the Ravens. Let me know your thoughts. It's a video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace out.